Hi everybody, Andy and Dan here. Welcome to this episode of No Such Thing as a Fish. We've got a very exciting guest today.
We do. We have the brilliant Daliso Chaponda. Daliso, some of you will know from being a finalist on Britain's Got Talent a few years ago. He's an amazingly funny stand-up comedian, and we were very excited that he was going to join us on the show because he's a big old nerd. He's written a sci-fi set of short stories that you can buy on Amazon and other online stores, but he's going on tour as well.
He certainly is. His show is called Topical Storm. You see, because it involves news and it's about the news.
So that's a good title, is what you're saying.
It's a really good title, and it's a really good tour, and he's going all over the place with it. Where's he going? Let's see. Stockton-on-Tees, Chipping Norton, London, and various other places of roughly the same size.
Yeah, and it's happening now. He's on tour right now. So do get your tickets because you don't want to miss out on it. He's absolutely brilliant.
His website is dalisochaponda.com.
Now, you're probably also thinking, God, it'd be great to see Daliso, but damn it, we'd love to see Fish live as well, but you're not doing any shows.
Absolutely. And what about a live show involving Anna?
Who?
Anna Ptaszynski, when she's back very soon. Well, have we got a surprise for you? We're going to be doing a live show this August in Lund at the Lund Comedy Festival in Sweden.
Yeah, that's right. We're really excited for it. It's going to be a live show recording. If you have spare dosh to buy a plane ticket, why don't you come from the UK as well? Because it's going to be a great night, and it's the live return of Anna Ptaszynski to the stage. Tickets are on sale now. You just need to go to nosuchthingasafish.com/Lund.
That's right. Saturday the 29th of August at 7 p.m. Come and see our impression of the Swedish chef live.
Oh dear. All right, yeah. Watch us be booted out of the country. Anyway, on with the show.
On with the podcast.
Hello and welcome to another episode of No Such Thing as a Fish, a weekly podcast coming to you from the QI offices in Holborn. My name is Dan Schreiber. I am sitting here with James Harkin, Andrew Hunter-Murray, and Daliso Chaponda, and once again we have gathered around the microphones with our 4 favorite facts from the last 7 days, and in no particular order, here we go. Starting with fact number 1, and that is Daliso.
So my fact is in 1981, more than 1 million Bibles were smuggled into China by water.
In one go.
In one go?
It's not, because normally you smuggle things, bit by bit.
Not in
Also,
one
usually you're smuggling cocaine or weapons, not Bibles. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I love most about it. It's like
the way they smuggled it, it didn't go in the bum.
It didn't go. You'd have to have very small Bibles if you.
Yeah, there would have been major theological chats about what that implied if you did that.
You could
to the
do
Bible.
it nowadays though, because now they're USB sticks, so you can
Absolutely. Yeah.
each Bible.
Yeah, but when I put the USB stick in my bum, I always put it the wrong way around first of all, and then.
Very strong.
But no, so they submerged tons of Bibles, literal tons. No, I'm not using the metaphor tons. It was they weighed tons of Bibles, and then they submerged them underneath a boat which was called Michael, which I think is honestly the least sexy sounding name for your clandestine.
And in fact, Daliso, you say tons. It's 139 tons in weight.
39 tons.
I know.
Wow.
And I believe they were small Bibles, as in they
Yes.
weren't the huge, big desk ones,
Yes.
because obviously when you are smuggling, size matters. But this is because Christianity was suppressed at the time.
Yes,
Is that right?
exactly
And
right.
owning
Exactly
a Bible,
right.
was it an offense at the time?
There were a few Bibles, but it was being repressed, and so there weren't a lot of. It was after the Cultural Revolution, and religion is the opiate of the masses, and it's very vague exactly what the penalty would be if you had it, but there were no Bibles, so they had to sneak them.
Well,
in.
people go to jail. You still get people who are going to jail and being released back to, so they're being smuggled over from Hong Kong and so on, and so they'll be sent back after a few years in jail. So you will get jail time.
right.
It kind of depends on the moment, but this was a huge operation. This was Open Doors, which is a smuggling industry. This extraordinary thing that was started by one man called Andrew Vanderbilt, who used to smuggle all of these Bibles into different countries. And then this was the ultimate project. How do we get all of these Bibles into China?
Can you tell me more about exactly how it works? So did they put it underwater and drag it along, or what? In a submarine? Or
So they built a special barge in the city of Shantou,
Okay.
which was designed to sink. So you do get submersible ships.
Yes.
And we've talked
Right.
before about when you need to give let's say you've got an oil carrier that's broken or something, you can get special ships which approach, sink underneath, and then lift up again.
Oh.
They're fantastic. And this was a similar principle. And the Bibles were all in watertight packaging, obviously,
Yes.
and then dragged onto the beach.
I'm fairly confident there were loads of believers who were on the beaches and waded in, submerged up to their necks,
Wow.
retrieving these tons of Bibles and carrying them off. But also, some were believers and others were businessmen because there was a scarcity of Bibles. Bibles were very expensive. So there were other people who were in it because you could sell them to Christians.
That doesn't sound very Catholic.
And it sort of went wrong on the night that a lot of the authorities saw what they were doing and were arresting people, and a bunch of the Bibles swept away into the ocean. So they thought, okay, that's it. But then fishermen, this is the story. There's so many weird stories about this. One of the stories goes that fishermen saw on the surface these Bibles gleaming like fish. So they brought them in, and then they realized, oh, we've got all these Bibles because they were watertight. So so the Bibles found a way.
And then even there was like some of the authorities grabbed Bibles and they flung them into like sewage. And then believers climbed in right afterwards and retrieved them.
How interesting. And this guy, so he's called Andrew van der Bijl. And he wasn't just China, he did all of Beyond the Iron Curtain, right?
Yeah.
So it was Eastern
Yes.
Europe.
And there were a lot of volunteers because I heard about this because I do a lot of religious shows, and I was doing Greenbelt Festival in Cheltenham, which is like a religious kind of Glastonbury. And in the audience, there was one of the people who had volunteered for one of these Project Pearl.
In China or in Eastern Europe?
In China.
Wow,
In China.
amazing.
And so
Gosh.
I think he was doing a talk about it, but I was like, wow, this is crazy.
What a story. I read that he would pray to God when he took his Bibles across. And let's say he's going to Eastern Europe, he might take them in his car. Okay, so he's driving through the Iron Curtain, and people would check his car, and he said he would pray to make seeing eyes blind. And the border patrol people would be searching his car and couldn't find the Bibles, even though they were just sat there on his back seat. And he said that was because he prayed to
That's
God.
a modern miracle. I'm surrounded by skeptics. I believe the man.
He's dressed as a Bible because if you dress, it's in plain sight.
No, but it's also, look, it sounds like nonsense, but there's also a level where they're looking for weapons and things.
Yeah.
So they'll just see a pile of books and they'll go past it. Do you know what I mean? Like, even
that's true.
though they are illegal, I wonder how high up on the Border Patrol's radar Bibles are, because they're looking for weapons.
In the Cultural Revolution, I think it was, right?
Yes.
And I think in Soviet Russia it was as well.
Okay.
So do you guys know Vitaly Vataliev? You met him. So he used to work on QI for a little bit, and he left Russia during the Soviet Union. But he did cross the border a few times. And he said when he was on a train and he would cross the border, people would come down the train shouting, "Bibles or pornography! Bibles or pornography!"
Oh, that's great. It's like a personality test. Which one are you? And if you're both, the Bible's pages are stuck together. I'm sorry. That's terrible.
And that was like, you had to
That's
hand them
terrible.
in when they said that.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
I really like the sound of this guy, purely just the adventure. So he wrote a book.
Andrew van der Bijl.
Yeah, he wrote a book which is called
Wonderful.
God's Smuggler, and it sold over 10 million copies, supposedly, translated into 35 different languages. And every country seemed to bring in its own new Mr. Beanish moment. In Albania, he used to do sort of drop-offs where he would just sort of put the Bible down and walk off, and then people would find it and chase after him, going, "Your Bible! You've left your Bible!" And so he was just constantly outed by people returning his lost property.
Yeah.
But I also think, like, despite them trying to repress Christianity, it grew in China in these years. And I actually think part of it is, if it's forbidden and you're having to smuggle in Bibles, it becomes more alluring. It becomes like, oh, this is the truth, because they don't want us to read the truth. And so places like the UK, where you've got dwindling attendance, ban it. Ban it for a while.
You know,
And
Stepped
you'll
up idea.
Exactly.
There have been moments in the UK where people have been arrested for smuggling Bibles, isn't there? So William Tyndall, and his mate, who was called Monmouth, but I can't remember his first, Humphrey Monmouth. Yeah. So we're talking quite a long time ago. We're talking Henry VIII times. Right. But the thing was that these Bibles were written in English. And so they're in the vernacular. And so that you're allowed Bibles as long as they were in Latin, but if they were in English, you were in big, big trouble because the church wanted to control what was in the Bible. They wanted you to only hear what the priest had to say. Yes. They didn't want you to read it yourself and make your own ideas.
So Tyndall was executed for this, at the time, crime. Yes. The man who smuggled them in, Humphrey Monmouth, who was a cloth draper, he was smuggling them in his ships. He was briefly imprisoned. But within a few years, every church in the country had one of these.
Yeah. Right.
Wow.
And the King James Bible, which is maybe the most significant English translation ever, is one of the most beautiful. Our language is full of phrases from the King James. 80% of it is Tyndall's translation.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
It's the absolute underpinning of the Bible in English. I have recently read a smuggled book. I wasn't aware when I picked it up and looked at it that it was illegal. Yeah. But I've just finished a book which was punishable by death in Italy at a certain point in history.
Oh. What
and
book
it was smuggled in. It's called The Moon is Down. It's by John Steinbeck. And he wrote it explicitly as propaganda. He was working for the US government.
Okay.
Early days of American involvement in the Second World War. It's a tale of a nameless European town where a nameless army invades and takes over. There are collaborators. And it's a story of the invading army being resisted by the population and them slowly cracking up under as they realize the awfulness of this war and what they've done will, they'll never be forgiven for it. It will never end, all of this, and the people will throw them out. And in Italy, if you had a copy, you could be punished with death.
I've been to the Museum of Banned Books, which is in Tallinn, I think, in Estonia. Okay. It's really cool. It's just a very small place run by one guy. It's basically a bookshop, to be honest, and you can buy all these books that have been banned everywhere else in the world. And I think there's one book that he doesn't keep on display and he keeps under the counter.
Really? Do you remember what it was?
If memory serves, I think, I've forgotten what it's called now. Is it the Anarchist Handbook or something?
The Anarchist Cookbook.
Cookbook, that's it. Yeah.
Well,
because that tells you how to build bombs. And
stuff. Exactly. Yeah.
So I was at home as last year, I think, maybe the year before, and I can't remember now. It's just this has reminded me.
You go home all the time, though.
No, it's once or twice a year. I've got to say hi to the kids. I was going through some boxes, and I found a box of books that were given to me by a friend who moved overseas. And I opened it up, and in it was the Anarchist Cookbook.
Wow.
I didn't know that was a smuggled book or that it's illegal, because it is still illegal to own it in this country. Yeah. So that night on Instagram, I posted a picture of me reading this book, sitting down to a nice book and a glass of wine, and I'm holding it. And I posted it and I went to sleep. I woke up in the morning to about 20 DMs saying, take that down immediately. This is an illegal book. People have gone to jail in the UK.
Put that up your bum right now, mister.
And dive. Yeah. So I didn't know if I had to go to the police to give it to them. I didn't do that.
Don't involve
That's
them.
embarrassing.
I know, right?
That book, it actually tells you how to make weapons. But a lot of books which are banned, it backfires because it makes you want to read it. So I read the Satanic Verses when I was a teenager, right? It's an extremely difficult book to read.
Yeah.
It's extremely dense. You need to be a university student. But because it was banned, we read it with our dictionaries and tried to figure it out. And I actually think, the banning of it made it more...
Absolutely.
Yes, I still haven't finised.
Yeah,
the Satanic Verses.
I've just started it as of last week.
Oh.
How odd. And
can I just say for anyone listening, I've never read it and do not intend to read it.
Well, there's an amazing book called Joseph Anton, which is Salman Rushdie's whole experience of what happened once the fatwa was put on him. And he was saying that the book is known as something called the Page 15 Club because most people can't get past page 15 of it. So you're part of a club if you've started and you've never gone further than that. But yeah, exactly. More dangerous because of the banning of it.
The banning of it.
Yeah.
Can I tell you my favorite book smuggling incident? Okay. So Cold War, we've mentioned this Eastern Bloc. There was a lot of book smuggling into the Soviet Union because there were a lot of banned texts. And the CIA had a program smuggling in works which they saw as spreading, freedom, democracy, that kind of thing. Things like 1984, The Guardian Weekly, which I find rather nice, because The Guardian did a weekly magazine. Send that in. And it was all sorts, they smuggled in miniature books in tampon boxes and sugar packets. I mean, I presume tiny.
Yeah.
But I just love this wonderful detail of the CIA operation. In one instance, Alexander Solzhenitsyn's The Gulag Archipelago was carried onto a plane to Warsaw in a baby's nappy.
Oh, wonderful.
I know.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful.
In our family, whenever my daughter needs to be changed, we say she's done a Solzhenitsyn. My favorite one is in Romania. So in 2013, there were people started smuggling books into prisons.
Okay.
And this is really interesting. So they changed the law in 2013 that meant if you were in prison for like a white collar crime, let's say, you could get 30 days off your sentence for every book that you wrote.
30 days?
That you wrote?
Wait, wrote?
Yes. So if you wrote a book, Andy, like you'd knock your books off in 2 weeks.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's why it's back out so quickly.
But if you wrote a book, then you get a month off your sentence.
Wow.
So a lot of like people who are in for fraud or tycoons or former politicians or
Yes.
something suddenly started knocking out books left, right, and center. Now, you've written a book of short stories, which I have, and it takes a long time.
It does.
That you did those over years and years.
Over
didn't
years,
you?
yeah.
So what they did is they would get like experts in a subject to write a book. Then they would smuggle them into the jail, and then they would just copy them out and then put
by
whoever, and then say written 30 days off, please.
Oh, they copy their homework. Yeah.
So, for instance, there was a former politician called Georgia Kopos who wrote about the matrimonial alliances of medieval Romanian rulers.
Did no one raise an eyebrow? And then he's going to be writing all this from memory, Georgios. That's very impressive.
And there was a guy called Rialini Lupsa, who was a pop singer, who went to prison for fraud, who wrote a book about stem cells in dental medicine.
And he's already in prison for fraud.
Yeah.
You'd think they would be like, I'm not sure you're on the up and up.
Isn't that amazing?
That's so funny.
Incredible.
Glorious.
So funny.
Okay, it's time for fact number 2, and that is Andy.
My fact is, Lake Malawi contains 1,000 species of the same kind of fish. One lake, 1,000 different species.
Big lake.
Very big lake.
Big lake, they're waves.
That is.
When I first went there, I didn't know lakes could have waves.
Oh,
Right.
really?
As in like breakers? Like surfable?
Waves. They're smaller waves, but I'm sure there are times of the year when it's larger, but it has waves.
Wow.
Absolutely.
And I always thought a lake was like a glorified pond, and I was like, no,
This is a big. Yeah.
It's got
Big, big.
beaches. It's got,
Exactly.
yeah.
It's huge, and it's got a lot of cichlid fishes.
Wow.
More than 1,000 species. So this is absolutely bizarre. I mean, they arrived in the lake. One species arrived in the lake maybe 3 million years ago, some millions of years ago. Why are there so many now? How have they split off
here's
from
the thing.
each other?
Like, you have a type of mouse, right? Comes into an area, and then some of them are born here, some of them are born here, and then there's something goes in between them, some kind of barrier, which means that the ones on one side can't mate with the ones on the other, and eventually they become new species, right?
Right.
In a lake, how does that work? Like, I know there's waves and everything, but like, what is stopping them from mating?
Yeah.
So there was a study of this, and it's a theory, but it's reasonably convincing. There are a few different ideas. One of them was a team of scientists led by Christopher Schultz, who looked at this and found that historically, the level of the water in Lake Malawi is about 700 meters deep, I think at the deepest.
Wow.
But it has gone up and down and up and down and up and down. And it's plunged by at least 200 meters, more than 20 times over its history. And so every time that happens, things change in the lake, the shoreline moves, the pH levels change, and sometimes it even splits into smaller lakes before the waters rise again and it's reunited. So if the lake is split into smaller lakes, those fish in each of those smaller areas will split off from each other, spend time, specializing at breeding in among themselves.
Yeah.
Then suddenly when the lake is reunited, you've got different species.
That makes sense. That makes sense actually, but I envision a kind of reverse Tower of Babel kind of situation where the fish were trying to burrow their way down to the Almighty, and the Almighty was like, no! And they all speak different languages now.
Yeah.
Different
Well, that's not been
species.
tested
That's
fully in
not
that
been
theory, but
tested, I'm
it's
just saying.
But it's a strong idea. It's strong. Yeah.
Strong. It's
Yeah.
It's good. So this, we should say, it is massive, this
Massive.
lake, right?
Very large.
It's
Very
a fifth of Malawi is this lake, basically.
It used to be called Lake Nyasa because when the British arrived in Malawi, they called it Nyasaland, and then after independence, we became Malawi.
Well, it's also called the Calendar Lake, which is quite a cool name. It's because roughly it's 365 miles long and 52 miles wide at its widest. So it's a calendar.
Oh, it's a calendar.
Yeah, 365 days,
Very
52
nice.
weeks.
I know that.
And they say, and I couldn't prove this, but 12 main rivers flow into it as well. So it even breaks down into the 12
Lovely.
months of the year.
Yeah.
But it's
Probably there's like a few more that are like, oh, that one doesn't count.
And I think
There's
there's
the main
16,
river.
but that one's a tributary.
and I think there are a few miles that they're shuffling off as well when they
The
measure
fastest swim across Lake Malawi was 7 hours, 42 minutes, and 47 seconds. What do you think was the fastest swim from top to bottom?
So it looks like an exclamation mark, doesn't it? It's
Yes.
50 miles
It's
across,
long
but
and thick.
It's longer than
360.
it's like this country of Chile.
Yes.
So,
So
7
across
hours.
was 7 hours.
Yeah.
So some maniac. so maybe it was 49 hours.
It was 63 days.
You can't swim for that.
I know, it was in
Oh, you
stages.
stop.
You do in
yeah,
stages.
yeah.
Stop in
And it was by Martin Hobbs from South Africa, who I'm sure is not a maniac.
He's a maniac. He's a maniac. Like all of these people. Like I've met Eddie Izzard, and I was like, "You're a madman."
Yeah.
Like who are these people swimming across things for no reason?
Doesn't it have crocodiles in it, like Malawi?
Does it?
It has
hippos.
hippos. It has
Yeah.
hippos.
Oh, that's worse.
It has hippos.
Yeah.
Neither is good if they're
No,
cross.
okay. So this is the thing: is if you are near a hippo's child, a hippo's worse than a crocodile.
Yeah.
But if you leave the hippo alone and there are no children present, hippos are very.
The ones you really have to look out for is the hungry hippos.
Oh, yeah. The absolute worst. I read about him, James, the Martin Hobbs guy.
Oh, yeah.
So 6 years before he swam from the top to the bottom of Lake Malawi, he had never swum a mile.
6 years before. Okay.
and
so-
he just started.
He started, I think he had an injury. I think he was already a sportsman.
Yes,
And then he had an
yes.
injury, which meant he couldn't do his original sport.
Right.
And then he took to swimming. But isn't that, just imagine 6 years from now, we could all be on the northern shore of Lake Malawi.
Race.
Ready to set off.
The fish that are in there are some pretty wild varieties.
Yeah.
There's one which is called the eye biter. Have you heard of the eye biter?
And how does it get that name?
So basically, they found eyes in its stomach, and they think that they don't know if it's eating the eyes as nourishment or if it's taking the eyes out of the predator or the one
What?
the one that it wants to
another
eat.
fish,
Yeah, of the
right.
other fish. So it eats fish, eats the eyes, therefore it has a better chance of killing it altogether.
Right.
So you start with the eyes.
Yeah.
Start with the eyes.
And this leads to the joke, doesn't it? What do you call a fish with no eyes? A fish.
Yes.
What do you call a fish with no eyes? Dimidochromis compressiceps. That's what I
There you
call
go.
it.
There were eyes in that. It should have
Dimmadocromus.
spelled D-E. It should have spelled D-E-M. Dem.
Yeah, but that behavior's never been observed in the wild, I
Yeah,
read.
exactly.
So we,
So it's-
Right.
It's
We've
a
only-
theory.
It's our fault?
They have found
They've
the eyeballs.
seen the eyes, but they've never seen the...
Yeah.
exactly.
That's because, Attenborough has no time to go film Lake Malawi.
Here's another one. The sleeper cichlid, which you get in Lake Malawi, it does a thing called thanatosis. And thanatosis is where you pretend to be dead.
Oh, yeah.
But they do it in a really awesome way. They lie down on the bottom of the sea and they can change the color to like a blotchy, very sick looking fish. And so the other fish go past and go, oh, God, he looks a bit sick. Like, he obviously was feeling terrible before he died. And then they go close to him and then it goes, ta-da, not dead after all. And then probably bites their eyes
Then
out.
eats you. I'll tell you, I wasn't afraid of Lake Malawi, but this episode is making me be like, why do I swim in there?
There's also the Malawi squeaker that I found, which is a type of upside down catfish. So
Another question.
Yeah.
What's an upside down?
upside down catfish, they swim upside down so that their mouths are at the top of the water and they can eat bugs that are on the surface.
Oh, okay. I thought upside down catfish is they actually look better than their Facebook picture.
And it's called the Malawi squeaker because when you take it out of the water, it goes squeak, squeak, squeak.
Really?
Adorable.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh.
So I've read that it's very clear in Lake
Yes,
Malawi.
yes,
So
it
you've
is.
swam in it.
Yes,
How
I've
far?
swam in it.
Have you seen
No.
giant fish?
No. You swim like when you go to the ocean. You only swim in the shallow area. You don't go way out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I've swam in it, but I've never been more than 50 meters out.
Because it's so big, does it feel like you're in the sea?
It feels like you're in the ocean, but it's not salty. It's yeah.
Interesting.
I read that it gets waves up to 6 meters high,
Yeah, it gets
but
waves.
Okay.
that's huge.
No, it gets
Yeah.
exactly what I mean.
That's
Like
stormy.
it felt like if you knocked me out, I would think I'm at the ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have special things. It's something called the Mawera winds that come every year in November, December, and January that make it basically fishermen can't go out that time either. So it's lots of people go fishing there, but you can't go in those times. But like at the start of November or the end of January, you kind of can do a little bit, but it's a bit dangerous. But if you go out fishing then, no one else is doing it, so you can sell your fish for way more. So that's kind of
we'll take the
risk
rest.
and reward.
Because those were the other names that it was given. David Livingstone, who was one of the first people to describe it for the West only, he called it the Lake of Storms and the Lake of Stars because you would see all the light of the fishermen
And
in
we
the
have
distance.
an annual festival called Lake of Stars.
lovely.
Where all these musicians come and people smoke weed and it's
Yeah.
this is a fact. Malawi has the best weed in Africa. It's
Really?
Malawi Gold, it's called.
Really?
Everyone goes on about how Malawi has no minerals, but we always say we've got Malawi Gold. that's the intro.
We should say that you grew up in Malawi, did
No,
you?
I was
or-
a refugee. So my blood is Malawian, but my dad
see.
had to flee Malawi because of our dictator. But when I was an adolescent and the dictator was gone, eventually we
see.
went back to Malawi.
And so you've got family there still.
I've got family
yes.
there now.
Amazing.
Yeah. My
Right.
parents are there, and my one brother.
Daliso, you may not know, one of the things I do on this podcast is I find any link I can to the First or Second World Wars, no matter what we're
Okay.
talking about.
Okay, so there were some Malawi soldiers sent.
Well,
Yeah.
first naval engagement of the First World War, guys.
Yeah.
Oh
Lake Malawi.
no!
Really?
Way.
Wow!
So exciting.
Oh.
There were at the time roughly 2 Western boats on Lake Malawi. Unfortunately, one was English and one was German. Right? So
Wow!
this was it was a colonial time. So there were and the borders of Lake Malawi. It's a few different countries around it, aren't there?
Yeah.
So basically, a British steamer named HMS Gwendolyn, which was named after the daughter of the Marquis of Salisbury.
Okay.
Lovely name for a ship.
Very nice.
It had 1 gun on it, I think, and there was a German steamer, which the captains were friends. They were drinking buddies, but the English found out the war was happening slightly before the Germans, so the English just sailed up, opened fire, 1 shot. The German captain yells, "Rhodes, are you drunk?" at his friend who's just overfiring him. 1-shot battle. Rhodes then just confiscates the gun. Rhodes, the English captain, confiscates the German gun, and no more is said about it. And that was the first naval battle of the First World War.
Wow.
I know.
No more was said about it. You've shot.
This is the first time anyone else is hearing about it on this podcast.
That's like finding out if you were just sitting in a cafe with your friend and he happened to be German and you read the news before, but you just
Quickly
punch him in the head.
Battle over.
That's amazing.
Daliso, what's the name that keeps coming up as names of towns and so on in Malawi is David Livingstone.
Yes.
Who
he
obviously-
he was the missionary.
Yeah, and it sounds like a lot of place names that were colonially named have been changed, but the Livingston ones seem to
Well,
remain.
it's because Livingstone is remembered positively.
Yeah, right.
So he came, he brought Bibles and stuff. He was
How did he bring them in?
But
Okay.
honestly, the tales of him is education and medicine. So there was not a hurry to rename his stuff. But like the road stuff, where it's associated with, us being oppressed and being, that's all been renamed. So a lot of the Livingston names,
Yeah, 'cause
stay
there's-
because he's fondly remembered.
Blantyre, which is known as
Yes.
the New York of Malawi, that's where Livingstone was born in
Yes, and
Scotland.
there's a Blantyre in Scotland. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Are they,
Yeah.
are they twinned or
They're
I mean,
not
the name's the
weirdly.
same, Yeah.
I mean, on their Wikipedia, which is where I had a brief look, it said that it's twinned with many places, but not with that town. How
interesting.
But there is a statue in Blantyre in Scotland of Livingstone fending off a lion attack, and it's designed by Ray Harryhausen.
No,
Isn't
that
the
monster
monster
guy?
guy.
The-
Wow.
So we should say he designed the special effects for all the amazing old films like what was it? The
Jason
Clash
and
of
the
the
Argonauts.
Titans.
Jason and the Argonauts, Clash of the
stuff like that.
Titans. Yeah, those were fantastic.
So apparently he was married to a descendant of Livingston.
Wow.
Yeah, and so he did the statue.
That's amazing.
There's also Livingstonia in Malawi. There's he's got quite a few places that are
Interesting.
named after him.
Speaking of old sci-fi films, I was reading about someone called the Terminator, who is responsible for the annulment of 3,500 marriages in Malawi.
Oh yeah.
So this apparently is someone called Teresa
Oh,
Kachindamak.
this is the child marriage.
Yeah.
No, she's actually absolutely amazing.
Isn't that an amazing story?
Yeah. No, so essentially there was a practice of marrying very underage people, and so she campaigned against it her whole life and annulled them and rescued these women. It was amazing.
And then educated people in the area about what to do in future and stuff like that. But yeah, known as the Terminator because she terminated so many of these marriages.
That's great.
And whenever she terminated a marriage, she'd be like, "I'll be back."
Okay, it is time for fact number 3, and that is my fact. My fact this week is that the first ever British spacesuit designed included a cape and a walking stick.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow, this was for floating in space.
This, yes, how else are you going to fly
Yeah, it's
in space?
fantastic.
It's an extraordinary design that was
stunning.
showcased initially in the 40s in 1949. There's a replica that you can go and visit. I've got a picture here. Daliso, do you want to sort of describe for the listener what it looks like?
It looks like a Cylon from Battlestar Galactica. It's absolutely glorious.
And for younger listeners, perhaps.
I think it looks like Space Shredder from the Ninja Turtles.
Space Shredder.
But for listeners even younger than that, maybe.
Okay, the helmet looks like a knight's helmet, and
Right.
then the actual baggy suit. It's a cross between a spacesuit and a washing machine.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's a glorious
Wow.
silver cape over the shoulder. It's like it's a sort of steampunky.
But also
Spacesuit,
the
yeah.
walking stick is very short.
Yes, but because it's a practical walking stick. Now, here's the extraordinary thing. If you saw a picture of this, you would think, my God, this looks so ridiculous. What were they doing? Everything that was designed for this suit was incredibly practical. So to give the background of it very quickly, this was designed by a group called the British Interplanetary Society, the BIS. It was founded in 1933 by Philip Cleater in Liverpool, and it is still to this day the oldest existing organization devoted to the promotion of spaceflight. So there's been older ones, but they're no longer around. So this is the longest lasting.
But it's an amazing sounding. The British Interplanetary Society. It
Yes.
sounds insane because we're not used to Britain being a major part of the space race, as indeed it turns out we weren't. We may yet. But this spacesuit was really fabulous. So the suit has an airlock inside the chest. So you can pick up a moon rock or whatever it might be, pop it into the airlock,
inside.
then inside your suit, kind of take an arm out of the spacesuit, reach in and open the airlock once it's pressurized correctly. So then you've got it for whatever reason, inside your suit. It's just such a cool idea. And
Sounds a bit awkward.
it was a
like
bit
doing
awkward,
that.
probably. That did not make it to the spacesuit design. But I think some of these elements were useful, and they were established way before most other space exploration outfits. They were thinking about how we do this in a practical way.
Well, that's what's so exciting about this. Every single part of this suit dealt with what was the hypothetical situation of what you would have on the moon.
On the moon.
Yeah, so it was designed by two guys, Harry Ross and Ralph Smith. And for example, the moon has very different temperatures when it's dark and when it's light. So either you design a day and night suit that you can change into,
Oh, lovely.
which is so British.
yeah, well, you need something for cocktail hour as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what this suit is, what they went for is the all-in-one. So the cape is not some, silly British
Superhero.
quirk.
Yeah.
What that was is to help with the temperature regulation.
I actually think England just needs this to start being reissued because on
Yep.
any particular day we have all the weather. It needs to make a comeback.
That's a great idea.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So, Daliso, you'll see here there's this sort of aerial that's up here. That's
Yes,
for radio.
for radio.
So that's how you could radio back to the ship when you're on the moon.
Stunning.
It's got like a 1.5 kilometer, I
Oh,
think,
it's
distance.
brilliant, actually.
They were
Yes.
solving all sorts of... So they designed a lunar spaceship as well in 1938, and they they proposed a crew of 3, a multi-stage rocket, like lots of things that ended up happening in 1969.
I think it's like a big what if, isn't it? Of like, basically what happened is they were going to start doing experiments of rockets, but there was a thing called the Explosives Act of 1875 that meant that private individuals were not allowed to test rocket fuel. And because that was in, they weren't allowed to do their experiments. But if the government had said, okay, you can do it, there's every reason to suggest that we could have gotten into space before anyone.
Well, I mean, at least they had practical plans. Zambia, which is a country next to Malawi, they had a misguided attempt to join the space race. Very bonkers guy. I'd have to find his name, but he started training astronauts by putting them in barrels and rolling them. To get them used to being weightless. And it was a really hilarious event where he believed that Zambia could beat America and Russia with this.
So we're talking 50s, 60s that this would have happened. Wow. Yeah, and I should just quickly explain that the walking stick, when I said it was practical, is because if you were walking up mountainous bits of the moon, if you were needing to sit down, the suit's not very practical for it. So that is one of those you turn into a sort of a little seat.
Arthur C. Clarke was a member of this society.
Yes.
You know why we have capes in comic books, like superheroes?
No.
Because you don't need a cape to fly, do you? It's like doesn't make sense at all. Like you need wings.
Yes.
Basically, the reason is a comic book is just a drawing, and you need to show movement of someone flying through the air. And what's the best way of doing that? Having something flapping.
Something that flaps. That makes sense.
Brilliant.
That's great.
The first real spacesuits like that were actually used were the Soviet ones, I think. So CH-1 or Chit-1 or Chit-Edian, I suppose it would be. So this was used in the 1930s, and it was because they were going to very, very high altitude. So they weren't going into space per se, but they were getting balloons really, really high. And this suit, made by a guy called Chertovsky, it had no hinges in the elbows or the knees. And it was basically it was almost a barrel, really. It was a barrel with a helmet on, and you would just sort of open a door and walk inside it, and you wouldn't be able to really move or do anything.
Stole the idea from Zambia, obviously.
And then the first actual spacesuit, so the ones that the Soviets used in space, so what Gagarin might have used, for instance. Actually, this was a bit before him because it was a design. It was known as the Skafander Kosmicheski, which meant a diving suit for space. And again, it was mostly to protect the space person. It wasn't really that useful for doing stuff. But one of the groups of people who were really against the spacesuit were the people who designed the spacecraft, because they said that our spacecraft is so good that actually you don't need a spacesuit. Gagarin will be absolutely fine.
It's risky, isn't it?
And for anybody who wants to find out more about what I mentioned, it was 1964. Edward Makukan Kolosa was the one who formed the Zambian space program and would train astronauts by rolling them.
Wow. Okay. Gosh. Was it the Faroe Islands had a space? I think it might still have a space agency, but they expressly say we are not trying to get into space. We're gonna maybe try and talk to some satellites, or we're gonna they expressly say we are not trying to get to the moon. We're not trying to get to Mars, but it's useful to have this funding because you never know what technology is going to come from it and stuff like that.
Well, that makes sense. The Smithsonian, they're Washington-based. Well, they're all over America. They've got a lot of incredible
They've got a big
collections.
space museum there, haven't
Huge
they?
space museum. And in Maryland, they have a facility which contains a spacesuit morgue. There are 100
failed designs.
successful ones,
Or
actually.
successful ones.
So but just the spacesuits are not being used anymore.
Yes.
And they have. I read a write-up of it, which sounds so creepy. It's got 150 spacesuits in there. They're all sort of lying on bunks, face up. They all contain soft dummies. And
okay.
Really?
And I read about
This should be the setting of some horror. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. And there's a woman who looks after them, or she did certainly 10 years ago. She was called Amanda Young, and says she plays mummy to them. And she says, there's Neil, and there's John, and there's...
Andy, last week we had Nina Conti on the show. I don't know if you know Nina.
Yes, I know.
But she told us about, or actually Dan told us, but she knew about this place where they had all their old ventriloquist dummies. Where someone has died.
More creepy.
But I think there's definitely something where you go and visit all these different really, really creepy places. There's got to be a show for that, isn't there?
Yes, you're right.
There should. We're pitching it right now.
Daliso Chaponda's creepy ass places. Yeah.
Good.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Okay, good. 20%. Right.
There are still developments happening in spacesuit world.
Oh, yeah.
So right now, something is being worked on, which is very sci-fi based. It's to solve the problem that at the moment, if you do a spacewalk, you wear what's called a maximum absorbency garment, which is a fancy way of saying a nappy.
Yes.
It can take 2 liters of urine, which is a lot.
Wow.
But
How much Solzhenitsyn could it take?
take 12 copies of the Gulag Archipelago. Yeah. But it's really uncomfortable to wear one of those, especially if you're out there all day working on something on the outside of a space ship, you know. So it can give you a rash. It can leak. Astronauts say that at a certain point they can no longer tell if it's urine or sweat in their suits.
Wow.
It's really
unpleasant.
It's so uncomfortable being out there. It's an incredibly harsh
Not as
environment.
glamorous as you think, is it?
It's not as glamorous as you think, and you wee loads in space because
Do you?
Well, the gravity difference means that the fluid moves differently in your body, and it's physically very demanding, and you're sweating, and it's awful. Okay. Wait, though, they're working on a suit now, which is going to be drinkable water from urine in practically real time.
Oh, okay.
I would argue still not that glamorous.
Your brain has to go around that hurdle.
Oh yeah, it does. But this is basically like they have in Dune. You know, in Dune they have a still
The
suit,
still
and
suit
it keeps all. Sorry, good point. They wear. It's like in Battlestar Galactica. No, okay.
The idea is, if you make a suit which takes every bit of water from your sweat, urine, everything, and instantly turns into something that you drink.
Yeah.
So you can walk and be in the desert for a very long time or in space.
Exactly. And this
right.
is, they've now got it so that half a litre of urine can become water in as little as 5 minutes.
Do they add some? I would put a little bit of cordial in there at least. I think, like, just to take the edge off.
And then you're like, that's why it's yellow.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
that's
that
pretty
sounds
good.
very good. Well, that was one of the, just to bring
Fantastic.
it back to this original suit again, it did everything. It had extra mittens that you would put on. They thought of everything. The one thing they did not think of was to add anything that dealt with feces or urine. And so there was absolutely nothing as part of this design.
I think
that
in
would have
Britain
helped
we don't need to worry about those kind of things.
Yes, the Dune novels are very silent on what happens to the feces in your still suit.
Are they?
I'm sure someone will email podcast@qi.com to correct me.
No one needs that chapter. No one was reading and was like, that's what's missing.
Well, I'm just amazed they did any editing at all when I look at those books. The other thing about spacesuits is they often don't fit, right? Because they have to make them, and they don't necessarily, or certainly in the olden days, they didn't make them for each person because you didn't know who was going to do the trip. So, you know, Neil Armstrong's spacesuit was made for someone Neil Armstrong-ish.
Yeah. This is why Vin Diesel never became a successful astronaut.
Sure.
He wanted to be one.
Did he?
Oh, no, I'm just saying.
it's
this was
just
a
like-
joke.
yeah.
I thought this was like a little thing we didn't know.
Is he particularly
Dream
differently
number one?
shaped?
He must be quite muscly, mustn't he?
Is he?
Yeah, I'm thinking of The Rock. I meant to say
You
The
think
Rock.
of the rock would work.
Vin
The Rock
Diesel's
would
big
work.
as well. No, I'll jump in. He's
Okay.
he's a muscular type.
He's no The Rock, though,
No,
is he?
you were
Oh,
thinking
he's no
of
Dwayne
the
Johnson,
space
please.
rock.
But this is really interesting, a thing called the jaggedness principle. And basically, if you take, like, okay, I got to work out how big my head is, right? Okay, it's this many inches, and my nose is this long, and my shoulders are this big, and my little finger's this big, and my big toe's this big. When you put all those different things together, no one is average.
Oh, because everyone's unique. Okay, I've got you.
Yeah, exactly. And so they did a thing in the 1940s where they were looking at the cockpits of pilots, and they took 10 body measurements from a population of 4,000 pilots and found that 0 of them were in the average range for absolutely everything.
Interesting.
And so some of them would have been like, oh, this seat's a little bit tight on my bum. And then some of them were like, oh, this cockpit's a little bit low. I can't really fit my thing in. And that's something you have to deal with all the time.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Roald Dahl writes about being a pilot of very elderly, maybe biplanes. I think it was Gloucester Gladiator he was flying, and he was 6'4".
Wow.
And you were meant to be about 5'10" to fly these things.
wow.
And he was just like an accordion folded up in the cockpit. He just writes about being so uncomfortable in there.
Yeah. Because what do you say about you, Andy? You've got is it a long torso or a...
No, I keep my height in my legs.
You keep your height in your legs.
Height in your legs.
I tell these guys every week, Daliso, and they never listen. They never remember.
This is what you have in common with The Rock.
Absolutely.
He's too muscly for planes, and you keep the height. Where do you
I
keep that
keep my
again?
height in my legs.
In your legs, sorry.
For some reason, he's not written back about my double act buddy comedy idea yet.
Muscly and legs.
One guy's really strong. One guy's got big legs. No, not big legs, just long legs, really.
Long legs.
Yeah. What a crime-fighting team we would make. Dwayne, if you are listening, please do get in touch.
I need to lift up this car from this baby on the floor. Oh, well, I need to step over that gate.
Okay, it is time for our final fact of the show, and that is James.
Okay, my fact this week is that the last Queen album released while Freddie Mercury was alive was named after his favourite word to play at Scrabble.
Amazing.
Fantastic.
Bohemian Rhapsody. No, that wasn't an album, was it? Probably. So I was looking for Scrabble facts because,
Yes.
Daliso, I read an interview where you say that you rarely lose at Scrabble.
I'm very good at Scrabble. I'm a Scrabble maniac. I always play Scrabble. And even I was mentioning earlier that like when I did Britain's Got Talent, they were like, "Oh, you're African. We should have a big African background for you." You know what I mean? Like, and we'll design like. I was like, no, that's nothing to do with my personality. Scrabble. So I literally have a Scrabble board with my name on it as my background because I'm such a Scrabble
And also, in Scrabble, there's only one letter X, so you can't get the 3 X's.
Very smart.
Thank you.
Oh,
It's so
yes.
rarely said on this podcast, Lily, so thank you.
Britain's Got Talent, yeah.
So I was looking for Scrabble facts, and I found that Queen liked to play it when they were on tour, and also that the games used to get quite heated.
They're not quite as rock and roll as you imagine. You know what I mean? Like
No.
backstage activity, playing Scrabble, even heated, is very like.
But you've got to do something after the cocaine wears off and after
Yes, you do.
the orgy
Yes,
has
you do.
wound down,
Yes.
you know.
Got to bide the time.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, once the orgies have wound down, so I was reading a biography of Freddie Mercury called A Kind of Magic by Mark Blake, and in that he said that innuendo was one of Freddie's favourite words to use, presumably because it has lots of vowels in it.
Yes.
And that was
But
what
also,
gave
like,
him the
I
name.
can't imagine it comes up a lot.
Innuendo.
As it were.
Well, you know what? Actually, Daliso, before we came on air, we were talking about our different Scrabble techniques, but
Yes.
you said that you have a special rule for your Scrabble.
Oh yes, when I play with my close friends, if you put in a dirty word, any sexual word or any word that can be used in a dirty context, you get double points.
Right.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, but how do you have a dictionary of dirty words?
No. You just have to explain to the other person that it's dirty because most of them are butts and stuff like that. But if you put in a word which is debatable whether it's dirty, you have to use it in a sentence to explain why it's actually
Very
Yeah.
good.
Nice.
Do you guys know, as your Scrabble heads, what you would get numbers-wise, points-wise, with innuendo if you didn't land on any triples or just those points?
I feel
So
like it'd be quite low scoring because
Yeah.
the vowels are
I think the D must be worth 2, is it?
It is
so it'd be
indeed.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
9 is correct. Now, innuendo isn't the only Scrabble word that is a Queen album that you can use.
Oh,
Because there's 2 other Queen albums. There's Queen, their self-titled first album.
That would be a lot of points.
That is a lot of points.
14.
15?
15.
14.
14.
But you're the one that's going to get you most is their album Jazz.
Yes.
Oh, very nice.
But you'd have to use a blank for that because there's only one Z. right?
Is there?
So, but J is 8, is it? So
Oh,
it
yeah,
would
that'd be 19?
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
good.
And it would be 29 but you can't, as you say, use a second one. Now, interestingly as well.
Also, actually, jazz mags have sexy people in them, so it's double points.
Double points. I don't know if that would work. Jizz would work, but jazz, it wouldn't be double.
Yeah,
points.
okay.
It's very big.
Well, here's another thing. Here's another thing for a band that loves Scrabble. Now, if the 4 of us were playing Scrabble right now, not a single one of us has a name that is a Scrabble word. However, 3 of the 4 Queen members were Scrabble words.
Were they?
What?
Freddie Mercury.
Mercury.
Mercury is a
Right.
word. You've got Brian May. May
yes.
works. And then the bass player Deacon.
Oh yes.
A deacon
A deacon in church.
Oh,
in church.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Dan is a word, D-A-N.
Is it?
It's a belting in martial arts.
Oh, very
Is
good.
that an English word or is it a Japanese word?
I think it's in our dictionary.
Okay.
That's the other thing about Scrabble is actually in the
It
official
evolves.
rules, it says before you start, you have to decide what dictionary you're
Yes,
using.
yes.
So you can
Right.
use any
Sure.
dictionary you want. If you want, you could use Green's Dictionary of Slang and just have rude words.
Yes, yes, yeah. Mike Schreiber would be in a German game of Scrabble
true.
would be applicable.
Yes. Hunter
Yeah.
in a British
Yes,
context.
if we used your
My
middle
middle
name.
name.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So anyway, Mercury is 14. You've got Deacon at 9, and then you've got May at 8, and then unfortunately Taylor, who is Roger Taylor, doesn't apply because it's not spelt. It's spelled with a Y instead of an
Why
I,
not an I?
unless you accept place names. In which case, there is an American town called Taylor, and then that could apply. But again,
You
it
don't.
depends on your rules.
There is an extra Queen album that you haven't mentioned, Dan.
Oh yeah.
Freddie Mercury's stamp album, which
Huh?
was another of his hobbies.
Oh, he collected stamps.
He collected stamps. It was bought by the British Postal Museum in 1993.
Really?
Yeah, he was a big stamp collector, as was John Lennon. I mean,
Wait a minute, isn't there a fact about them being on a stamp?
Yes,
Like,
there is.
Brian May was the only living person. or
It's
something?
Roger Taylor, the drummer, is the only living person to appear on a stamp because you have to be dead in order to be on a stamp. So Freddie is in the front of it, and there's
No. But when the Queen was alive, wasn't she on the
Sorry,
stamps?
other than a roll.
Oh, other
Yeah.
than a royal.
Yes,
Okay.
sorry, yeah.
Sorry, I was being pedantic, but yes, I see your point.
So in a very vague, misty way, you can see Roger Taylor in the back, and so he's the only living person
right.
to make an
Or
ultimate stamp.
they've loosened it a bit, haven't they? They do special.
Oh,
they
probably
do
now,
special
yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Nothing's like it used to be.
Yeah.
I read an interview with Mark Nyman, who was the first British player to ever win the World Scrabble Championships. He was
Okay.
speaking to The Observer. And he said that every week he hears about some other celebrity who plays Scrabble. So Robbie Williams, Sting, Christina Aguilera, Avril Lavigne. And Mark Nyman said there should be a celebrity Scrabble. So I'm thinking Daliso Chaponda's celebrity Scrabble.
I'd host
Yes.
it. I'm in. But I'd want to play. I'll tell you, this is the problem: is you get invited on all these shows, and you think you're there to play, and they just want you to do silly stuff. And I'm like, I want to play. I was invited on the countdown, and I was ready. I spent the whole week training myself and getting better. Like, no, we just want you on Library Corner. And I was like, no, let me play.
Wow, that's a shame.
Nerdy rock stars.
All right, yeah.
Okay.
Once you get very famous, let's say if you're a rock star,
Yeah.
you have a lot of money. You often have a lot of space. You have a lot of time because you do on stage at 8.
And also, because you've spent your childhood in your bedroom on your own learning how to play guitar, you're often quite nerdy, I think.
Yes.
Like, quite a lot of the musicians that I know, for instance, are kind of on the nerdy side. I would say.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Well, Bruce Dickinson of Iron Maiden,
Yeah.
who you're familiar with, James.
Yeah.
You know, Fences
I know he does.
was once ranked, and that's Fences in the
But
terms
fencing
of...
isn't necessarily nerdy. It's a weapon.
No, and also Bruce likes to fence with a lightsaber.
Okay,
know how-
that's nerdy. That is
Now-
really...
now-
You're gonna
now-
get
now-
hurt.
Now you've
Yeah,
brought
yeah.
in the nerdy.
You're gonna get hurt. It's not
Like-
real.
But
It's not
when
real.
it was an epee, that's not.
Yeah.
So there's 4 official swords that you can use in modern fencing, and it's the epee, the saber,
Foil.
the foil, and the
The
lightsaber.
lightsaber's now official.
It's official, yeah. And Bruce got one
I
of
need
the
to start watching this.
Bruce got one of the first like official lightsabers that you use
I
in
watched.
competition.
This is total
funny.
aside, but I watched combat juggling. If you
What's
ever
that?
have a chance to see this, it's 2 jugglers facing off. They have to constantly juggle, but they can knock each other's batons out with another baton.
That's very
and they
clever.
can distract. It was amazing, and it's a whole big sport. It was in like it was like in a high school arena kind of thing, and I was just like, "There's sports you didn't even know exist."
Okay, what am I talking about here? Rod Stewart's is enormous. Neil Young has a special name for his. Pete Waterman has displayed his in Chester Cathedral.
There's origin.
And Jules and Jules Holland stretches from London to Berlin.
Does it? Yes. I think I know because very famously.
Yeah, they have enormous penises.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah. I've seen them.
No, the first one I got it as well.
Yeah.
I
What is
think.
it?
Model railway.
Yeah.
Oh, model
Yes.
railway.
Yes.
Wait, but how can you have a model railway which stretches from one place to another?
Well, the model is a model of the journey from London to Berlin. Yeah. But Pete Waterman, who's the producer behind Kylie Minogue and Rick Astley
Steps.
and Steps. Yeah, the biggies. Recently built a 20-meter model railway for Chester Cathedral.
Wow.
I just find it so. He spends hours making fake trees. He has a massive model of Leamington Railway Station, which is where he train spotted as a boy. I just think it's so charming.
Yeah.
I love it.
Speaking of Pete Waterman, you just mentioned, do you know who is an absolute Scrabble fiend? Kylie Minogue.
Really?
Yes. And this is according to Salman Rushdie, who...
I would love to see this game.
That's actually on page
Salman versus
16.
Kylie.
On page 16 of Satanic Verses, he goes into a game of Scrabble with Kylie.
Fantastic.
Apparently, he plays Scrabble with her, or certainly did for a while. He tweeted about it. She wrote rematch as a reply to his tweet. He used to hang with her, apparently. There were rumors that Salman Rushdie used to play Twister with Kylie and Danny Minogue, but he said, I never played it. I would just watch as they played.
He said,
it.
I should be so lucky. Brilliant. That is amazing. Good grief.
Yeah.
Sorry, what?
So Kylie's obsessed with Scrabble.
Fantastic.
She plays Scrabble a lot.
No, we were thinking of the other thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Twister?
I suppose you've got to while away the long hours in hiding, haven't you?
I think it was in that period as well.
During the fatwa.
I believe it was. I haven't...
What a way to assassinate Salman Rushdie that would have been.
Also, that's what he should have told them, the people who had the fatwa on him. This is what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
No!
But we've got to work out where Salman Rushdie is because we want to assassinate him for the Satanic Verses. What's the least possible likely thing imaginable he could be doing?
Well, he could be playing Twister with Kylie and Danny Minogue. No, reasonable.
Okay, that's it. That is all of our facts. Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to get in contact with any of us about the things that we've said over the course of this podcast, we can all be found online. I'm on @Schreiberland on Instagram. James?
My Instagram is no such thing as James Harkin.
Andy?
At Andrew Hunter M.
Yep. Daliso, are you online?
Yes, I'm on everything. I'm africancomedian.com and Daliso Chaponda on everything else.
And you're on tour right now.
I'm on tour. I'm doing a show called Topical Storm. The show changes every week because it's updated with the headlines.
Fantastic.
Amazing.
And so go to your website, go to your Instagram and so on. They'll be able to find the dates, where you're playing. It's all across the UK. So go check it out now. You can also write into us as a group, podcast@qi.com. Send us all of your favorite facts that you've discovered because we will cherry pick the best of those and bring them to our Monday show, Little Fish, where we get to read them all out. Or if you send us just general feedback about the show, interesting experiences you've had and so on, those will be taken to our behind the scenes show, Drop Us a Line, which is part of Club Fish. Club Fish is a Patreon place where you can do multiple different tiers. There are lots of different rewards. We have a quiz coming up for the highest tier, friend of the podcast, April 14th. So join if you want to be part of that. And just check it out generally. Otherwise, just come back here next week because we are going to be back with another episode. Thank you, as ever, to our team, Liang Lee and Ethan Ruparelia, as well as the bigger Fish Buster crew. And we'll see you again next week. Goodbye.